live. Okay, welcome guys. If you were checking the chat, that's just to make sure that the description is looking okay. Everything else should be pretty okay. I think I hear some feedback. There we go. Okay, there we go. That's why we're taking this time right now to make sure everything is good to go before I look like some doof who's just looking around everywhere. Okay, I think we're good. How's the sound? That's the only thing I can't really check. So everything else is visual for me, as well as internet. Okay, I think we're good. Cool. Welcome. I haven't touched this file in a week. How you doing? Excuse me. Okay, welcome. How you guys doing? I'm gonna be a little bit stiff, with my arms a little bit at this time. Probably by Thursday I'll be fine, but my arms have been a little bit stiff and they're... okay. I had a doctor appointment yesterday, so they injected me 2 times. One of them went into my muscle, I think, so that really hurt. Oh, yeah. I'm a little bit better. Yeah, I'm a little better than like yesterday. But it's still hurts a little bit. Yeah, okay. It was a regular doctor appointment, so don't worry about that. I'm all good. What do you know? Let's do the chat thing. How do we do that? It should be properties, maybe refresh. There's no refresh button there. Usually this works, so hang on, and then come back, and then sometimes that works. Okay. Yeah, so I'm all good. It was just more monumental for me because it was like, haven't seen a doctor in like 2 or so years. So, I've been really healthy. The only thing I guess is just my weight. I'm like 97 pounds. So, for being 5'7", I probably should be a little bit more than that to stay safe with my BMI. So, other than that, I think I'm pretty good. I looked at my blood results and they're all good. Or at least average. But how we going, guys? You guys are doing good. Nice star. DJ Pones. And commenter. Hello. That's 100. I've never been more than that, I don't think. I've always like maybe like just straddled 100, but I never went more than that, really. It's been really tough to know like how to stay in a healthy weight, but then it's like I'm not quite there yet, so it's like I feel like I'm full, and it's just been really weird. So doctor said like that it's gonna be okay. Probably should be more concerned about it, but yeah, take some protein milk or something. This is just water. We should get into this. Yes. Hello again. Boop. No animation. Yep. This has been since 1/21, so about 2 or so weeks. We've been working on this. This was conceptualized by you guys, actually. If I can go all the way back. This was what we started with. This is great beginning, where we chose Apple Bloom does Camping by Yourself. And then we changed it to be Rarity and Sweetie Belle. This is my original sketch when it was Apple Bloom. Apple Bloom will still make an appearance. She's like a cameo. Midway through. Here it should be doing the firewood, and then they'll come back and then roast marshmallows. It's gonna be like a like a time lapse of like a 24-hour day, and then it'll like loop back on itself as the day would. So what I got so far is the morning. So the morning set colors. So if I go like through here, I could like start making some decisions on how to change or like when to change the stuff. But yeah, how you guys doing then? As I work on this. There's some stuff that we probably want to add in probably before we start getting too into it. Probably dressing the scene a little bit more, where I can add more stuffs into it. Like I think I wanted like some bushes or like some kind of foreground, because a lot of this is mid and foreground, so I want to add like a, see if I can make some close ground stuff. Let's get that going. Whoosh. There we go. Alright. Hey Cookie. Let's see you guys back. Yeah. Sorry about last time that I was very snooty, like too nose up high kind of feeling. I was like, why aren't you guys talking to me? And there's just I just wasn't used to that. I'm so used to like all you guys, especially like Cookie, like talking to me the whole time. So once I kind of stopped and like dwindled off and I didn't know what to do, I was having a kind of attack like that. Let's draw a basic bush shape here, and then I can draw it cleaner with my regular lines, with my vector lines. So I'll just do this pretty quick. Let's get this sharp bush thing going on. There we go. And adjust the points. Alright. Yeah, Star had to like make up for it. Yeah, I was being a little bit too salty with you guys. Just didn't know how to react. It seemed like everyone like stopped talking, so I didn't know what to do. With all my how we doing guys kind of fizzled out and no one else was there. Let's make it a little darker color there. So it's too jungly of a shape. Does that match what we got here? Should it be more rounded? I feel it's good, but it's not. I don't know if it fits in with the rest of this. If it could be like a bush that's more this kind of cloud shape. That's good. Three people told I made 98%. Yeah. Should be darker. Okay. It'll also be tinted throughout, so it's gonna be interesting. How am I gonna do that? Let's get rid of our. Don't need that sketch layer anymore. Everything else has a tint, like an orange tint. So I go tint and then add it in. So I could have another one, or I could have it be in the same. Ooh, I could be tricky. Haha, I could put it in the same symbol. Yeah, I was gonna expect that. And this could be a little bit different. Sorry, my heater's on. I gotta keep warm somehow. It's still wintertime. But it's got some nice breaks here and there where it gets sunny, but not that long. I should kind of like frame it to the middle now. Let's see what our push is. Okay. Yeah. And some hills. Those might be in between. No, the sun. The sun is the furthest thing possible. That's right. Okay. So here's the sun, then the moon. So right above it. This is. Good thing we have the puppets on as puppets. Otherwise, this timeline would be all the way up here if I had to include everything. Put the storyboards in a folder, so I don't have to see that as much. As well as our stuff that we don't really need. These could be guides, as I don't need them. Okay. Probably just small, like Mario Hills or something. Let's get color. I like to use like a base color and then then color it later. Could use a flat line. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Whew. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to like see how does this gonna work. I'm not entirely confident of how the structure this is gonna work, or like the animation more rather. I know there's a hole in there somewhere. Right there. There we go. To do that kind of time-lapse effect, or like how much to worry about individual animations is going to be the key to this. I'll just have them really short, and then usually like purpley. Right. Obviously, it doesn't really fit quite right, but I know in other instances it's probably gonna, so maybe more blue purple. Let's see. Some around here maybe. It's more like a base color, and then we can tint it like a lot, and that'll fit it in more, something like that. So it's purple, but it like adds some depth into it, I guess. Yeah, there we go. Could do like the mountain ridge thing of like it has snow on it. I like doing that. Probably not too much detail, because we're not actually going to see any of this detail, but it'd be good to have it. Any more texture into this, probably good. Yeah, so I guess we're just probably going to be just making more assets and not really animate the characters per se. Yep. Missed a spot. There you go. So there we go. So I'm gonna do the tent. Draw the tent a little better, or at least clean it up. So what do we got? Got that. How do tents work? They have sticks. They have sticks that hold like spikes down. So I want to draw those. Hello. Something like this. Is it? I never really done camping too much. So would the stick go like into there, or is it like? I feel like it's connected to like a string, and then the string connects into something else, right? Or is it trying to like get the triangle corner here, and then it... I should have done reference, but I also seemed like you guys would help, so a lot of pressure on you guys then. I'll put them here for now, and then once we figure it out. Let's make this door a different layer on top. Let's make some animation later easier, like that. I think we're pretty good. Some of this is like, just the LCD and me that's like, that's not right. You gotta get this one pixel and move it over there, kind of thing. I think this spike now is on the left is too short. Okay, and then it's tinted. I think that's what I imagined, and I think that's pretty good. We can come back to it, maybe. So yeah, we're gonna need this to have different states. A lot of these are gonna have different states, I guess, or instances or duplications where during the timeline each prop is gonna have like a different, like a state of matter or something. But with this, I would need like one where there's no fire, and then one where it's on, and then it's off, and then smoke, and then turn it back on again. So for this, I would need it to have a duplicate. This will be campfire. Let's have it on, but then we can switch it back to campfire. Go to the library and find campfire, and we'll call this off. So this is campfire off, so we just get rid of the fire. But now we can do this campfire on, and there's campfire. Ha! So that's how that works. And then inside of the fire, you animate it. That might be later once we get to it, but that should be a setup for it. Trying to get everything set up is a way. It's pretty good. Pretty good method. It's probably in some way, it's not really slower to like, it's probably better to actually prepare each individual element to make sure that everything's, if things are gonna loop, then it makes more sense to like make the loop, and then when I need it, then I can call it out rather than, oh, we need a loop now, let me go and make it as you go later on. So I know that everything is gonna like move, so I'm gonna make pine tree, pine tree, pine tree, pine tree. These are all the same names, but I have two different frames of it. Okay. The MLP content has got it better over time over the golden age of sorts. It's a little bit trickier for me because I haven't been that close to looking at other people's stuff. I've been very focused on my own stuff, that it's kind of hard to be able to say to other people's content if, as a whole, for the whole community. Yeah, about then. I would say a little bit longer, because I'm sure like other stuff has, I mean, even this year there might have been something that's incredible that I haven't seen yet. So it definitely took a little long, probably after Dusk Dawn, but like maybe around the Rainbow, because that's kind of stuff that I was looking at. So somewhere around then. As fire is off, it is extinguished. It should have dead smoke. Yes. So I'll probably also have a another one, fire off, smoke, and then in here we can have the animation of some user color and go whoosh, kind of a thing. It's hard to draw organically, but that's that one. So it's probably like, there's probably some safety that I'm probably forgetting about how to do this, where they come back, they roast marshmallows, and then I left it on. That's probably a thing we probably address, is from here to morning, is that somehow it turns off. So maybe Apple Bloom comes back and then puts fire on it, or puts water to put the fire out. It's probably around here. I'll probably have like a note for like Apple Bloom to come back. Where are you? So instead of that, you'll have water bucket with good perspective. It's got a pail, I guess, and that is water. So, boop. and then time there, and then this resets into this. So let's get this and put it over there. Boop, boop. There we go. And then it resets. So there we go. Okay. I think we have gotten technical, but it hasn't been much memorable things as of late. I agree. Yeah, obviously what I was saying, like with Dusk on it, the technical standpoint and some of the story elements definitely got a little better over time with other people's and other projects. So, but there is still something that they're still accomplishing in some regards, but yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. Or I guess with other people, yeah. I'm thinking of 12 eggs at once. Hello. Okay. So, just trying to make sure that the storyboard works. I'm gonna play it and see. Obviously, nothing really works right now. Probably better to not do it this way. Let's do it with just the storyboards and then play it. Some of the timings and stuff will probably be a little better. And then during the morning it's like out. I think that works. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Because we're doing a lot of different things in this. That's why this is very involved. Because we're essentially like recreating the whole forest and then animating as well characters inside it. So, with a lot of technical bits as well. So, yeah, to go back to it, I'm not sure. I mean, I agree that, yeah, technical, I mean, like Minty Root, like going from like his first to like his newest one, it's like he's using different softwares and like has different technical eye to things. So that definitely got better with that. But I don't know if the story time that you're trying to say is quite where you think it is. It's like all the technical ones that are super technical of like, wow, I didn't even know that was. I'm just impressed with what's going on visually. Still has good story as well for the most part. So I'm not sure. Obviously, with everyone, if you leave someone alone for, you know, for so long, then they'll do something incredible too. Kind of like me, a little bit. Where I kept studying, studying a lot of stuff, and just trying to like open myself to like, well, what about this method? Or like, huh, I watched a video and you did it like that. What if I can do it that way? You know? Especially with the movie now, when I'm trying to work on, it's like I'm incorporating 2D and 3D. So, that's been quite the challenge. I worked on it like for like very little time today. And I just worked on like some 2D character stuff, and it's like, it's incredible. Like I'm still like, even with all these technical bits of like, how am I gonna what is it, compile and not really compromise, compose. Well, I'm also doing that. I have to make music as well. So, but just trying different things and like learning as you go does help. Especially this, But I definitely wouldn't have made any of this on my own, actually. So, thank you guys for making me do something a little bit more complicated, but it's still, like, within my own realm, I guess. Within my own, say, I guess. Where, like, I still can call all the shots, but it's like, it's still technically feasible, but it's like at the very top of, like, it just takes a lot of time to do a lot of this. So I guess that's just what I'm trying to say, is that this is, it's not hard, or like, at least with this project, I'm trying to make it simple to make it possible for me to do and understand, rather than trying to go overboard and knowing how much technical bits to do by using the technical bits to tell a story. I don't know what I'm saying. Trees. That's what's going on. Yeah. Nothing here is out of my technical reach, but it's still tricky enough that it's like I still have to think about what I'm doing. But everything, if everything is still based on the story, then I think you'll be good. So now I could go in, just because it was going to be too complicated. And then how am I gonna do this? Because I know, hi Marcus, sorry. Because I know what I want to do, but then it's like, how do I tell the computer in this case that that's the best route? So might have to do the same thing, or I'm gonna might just make it into a new symbol. So this will be trees far. There. And then put them in. It's hard to explain what I'm doing because I'm not sure if it's gonna work. So if I try to teach someone, like, this is a way to do it, or here's a way to do it, might not work because I don't know if it's gonna work, or if it'll be actually easier to work it like this in this case. Yeah, this might be a bad idea, so but I'm gonna see if it works. I'm just trying to, like, make sure that everything's sort of trying to make. I think the one thing that I'm trying to do right now in this very moment is trying to make sure that the layers are compartmentalized as possible, so there's the least amount. The problem I was having earlier was that this is hard to tell, but these two trunks are different colors. So if I needed to, like, keyframe and then change the symbols, that might actually work. But I like to have everything on different layers, so I put everything inside of a group, and then when I need to change it, I can just go inside the symbol, and then from here use these, and then do whatever I need to do with all these. Like, if I need to make all these shake, then I can see which one it is. So shake 1, this is shake 2, shake 2, shake 1, shake 2. So, and then have them all loop, and there we go. then go back onto the main timeline, and then there's no keyframes to worry about, essentially. Because now it's all inside of the tree group level, inside of here, because that tells it. So rather than having all of these having different layers out here, which would expand the timeline to up to here of more layers, I'm just saying it from here where to do that. So let's see, so that's 1 and 2, so we'll have to do the same thing again because these are as well 2 different things. So to have the shakes, so we'll duplicate it. So this is, it's weird because it's in some ways, the way that this works is that it takes more time to set up rather than just doing it when it's being called. So it's kind of give and take of like figuring out like, yes, you can do it this way where you can set this up so that this, I guess the way that I'm doing it is more so that it can be more called later rather than just going ahead with it. Instead of doing like straight ahead animation, I'm like making these little loops here and there of like here's, you know, different like a video game. Like imagine a video game where you have to do like 1,000 animations for your main character. You wouldn't want to like every time a character needs to run, say, let me program and go into the model editor and keyframe walk cycle, and then they stop and then they have to walk again. Would you want to keyframe and go back to the model editor and keyframe it again every time they want to walk? So that's sort of what I'm doing, where when I need to, I set all these different loops up so that when it needs to be called later, I can just call it, essentially. I think that kind of works. Like my character needs to like run, stop, and jump in your game, then you don't want to have every time that happens do it again. Or even like doing a walk cycle itself, you wouldn't want to do like one step and then you can even shortcut it by mirroring the other leg to do the other step and then do it again. So think of these different weird shortcuts that take a while to get started, but once we get into the more thick of it, then it's like I could just call these different things over and over, and then change them slightly with the colors. So I'm just changing the motions with this. So that's what all these libraries and fun stuff here is, that I can change it back and then it's back to normal. So hope you don't mind I'm doing this a lot. I already did. What's one then? I was doing one. Important to make sure that all these make sense. So that's one. I want two. What is one? One has... It's not even a shake. This has... none of that. Aha. What is this? This is two, but it should be one, but I have one. So somewhere in here I got messed up. Okay. Call it something completely different. Here is normal. Here is two, but two should be one. And then we call this one and call this one two. Go inside two, and this is where we should be, where we use two. and then animate it. So there we go. Just a little, make sure that we got that now before worse things happen. Animate it a little differently, at least try to mirror it so that when we put it together it'll look like it's different. It might, no, okay. But I can use this menu to like change it to speed shake 2. Excuse me, loop, and it's going. Good. So let's change it back to normal and then loop it to frame 2. So that should be all set up. That's got bigger because there was 2 different versions of it, but if we just use a bush, then we could just duplicate this and then shake this. Okay. I never really know what I'm doing. I think my parents sometimes call it a burp, but it's like, it's not really. I think guess rare is probably the most accurate in that case. So I would go for something like that. And then the other one, which way did I go? Out. So this one can go in. And then out. Just so we have some motion in the front too. So everything's wiggling. See that? Haha. So that's how that works. Yay. Okay. Simpler sort of method. Not sort of, not really, but also yes. Another way to do this that I just thought of is to just use the play and stop method, where instead of relying on a completely different instance, which if I change the art in one instance and it won't change in the other unless there's a symbol inside it that is just part of it. Like if there's like a symbol inside of a symbol, and if I duplicate it, then the symbols that are being used in both of them should be the same, but the other arts that are not, or breaking apart, will be different. So that's the only disadvantage in that way. So yeah, let's just pause it and then we'll get rid of that. Don't need that keyframe, just make it simple. So I think we're nearly there. We could keep moving things around or adding different wiggles. So maybe like even this tent. This is why it becomes like weirdly important to like know how to draw or make sure that the drawing itself is good. That's where that symbol kind of comes in. So in that case, I could make each of these symbols, and then when I duplicate it, then those symbols that are being used in two of them will be the same. The other things that are breaking apart won't, or be different. So that's good for some things, but it's not sure. In some instances, you would want them to be a duplicate, have a different thing, some art that's different between them to make sure that they're different. But for now, I'm just gonna make each of these symbols so that when I animate it, the duplicate with the shake, then if I come back and need to redraw or change anything, then I can just change the symbol itself. Then, yeah. So this is tent door. I'm sure I've lost 90% of you, so I'm sorry. This is where it gets weird. Of like, yeah, that's like a little bit about this that I would probably never have thought about. Or at least that's deeply as I've thought about When in 2013 when I started, I would never guess that I'd be thinking this hard about this kind of stuff. But it's weird technical, like very, very Flash, Adobe Flash. Very technical Flash bits. So that's what you get. Welcome in. Yeah. I think even if you try this in like any other kind of software, then what I'm trying to explain, it might, some of them work, but I think most of the time it won't. At least it doesn't have the instances or like the functionality of like how symbols work. It's really like very, very simple animation software. I don't think they even have it. I could be wrong. I haven't really been testing, much. I think even OpenTunes in some way has like symbols as a concept, but probably not as in depth as what I've been trying to explain. So I'm just gonna add like some kind of dark interior. And then let me put the door on like that. See how modular we are with this. That it's like I can change the art in here, and that can be much more easy to change things around rather than being limited by the art that I make. Because now it's like a it's hard to explain what now it really is. It's just sort of becomes more of a solid, when it's just like the art of like whenever I just draw like these kind of storyboards with like album here, they feel very like too loose, and because I can see like the checkerboard or like this kind of texture on the lines, might be hard to see, but like when I highlight it, it becomes this weird texture on the lines that you don't really get when you highlight a symbol. You don't get that. Like it doesn't change the lines or the fills into that texture. But as soon as I go inside and then to like here, then if I get all the way inside of the symbol, which has the art, then it becomes that texture. So it just kind of like solidifies everything. Makes things more of a unit rather than an idea or abstract. It becomes like a solid entity that can be modified. So, okay. Everything here should wiggle. The mountains don't really need to wiggle much. But I think we're just about good. Yeah, the sad part is that, I can spend hours setting this up, but if it's only used for, like, one project, then it's like, you have to spend your time wisely of figuring out. You'd think it'd be easy, the method that I'm using is, like, easier to, like, use modularly, or, like, be able to use in 10, 20, 50 projects. Will this method sort of work in some way? Maybe not really, because of the way that they're separate symbols. You're able to like make like one symbol that has different versions, which gets tricky. So, you could have a symbol that has different frames, and then each of those frames could be the different duplicates. That could work. But yeah, the way that this is sort of being a really short animation means that I probably won't be able to reuse a lot of this. Unless I really want to, so problem is that I'm set it up so well that it can be used in 50 projects, but yeah. I just don't want to feel like too lazy about it either, where I just get too quick and dirty of like, well, this is how you just kind of just straight ahead, like, oh, I need the trees to shake here, and then add, a whole bunch of animation there as I go. I just find it a little bit easier to like compartmentalize it and stuff. Oh. And anyway, I think we're in a position where I think we're pretty good. We need to make the moon, and that might come out later. So I could just make this sun and then duplicate it and then put it on a different layer. So, let's make a moon, and then that should be one of the last or so assets that are like landscape stuff, and then all the character specific animations will be later. Trying to get this color. It's still too many colors. There's our moon. Let's add some of those good textures. Yep, that's good. Let's draw some random dots here and there. Alright. How we doing? Who did it might be a better question. Who did I not mess up your mind? I like to hear about you guys who are like, yeah, I understand everything that you said so far. Well, yes. Flash is an impressive tool. Better use it, you know, very sparingly. Boop. Okay. I got that. It's okay. But now I can like just change the duplication of it and then already instance. I made a duplication to make an instance of it. I think that's how that works. And then I could just do like the running video game example. So interesting. It's better to use Animate inside this. Yeah. I could just put on some music, but I think that'd be less interesting or harder to understand than me trying to. I could dive really deep into it, but if you don't understand like some terminology as I go, then this won't be too much use. So, especially people who are not interested in animation or Flash animation, then that could be a little hard. So, it got me thinking about. Reminded me that Wacom might be coming. I don't know if there's a official announcement for it, but they've been doing it in February, released the last week in February. So I don't know if you guys would be interested in another 2-hour animation lesson panel. I could start thinking about it now for you guys. Or I could probably do like a stream, you know, or a panel, a streamed online panel, kind of like this, where I just go over things too in depth, which I'm good at. So let me know about that. So I can get a panel on that too. I think it was fun. It was fun last time. A lot more people than I expected, so that was really fun. Where we just you know, just talked about a whole bunch of different things. That was the one where we went over like buckets of like maybe like a pail where you can, that's easier to say, where you have like a pail, like 2 pails, would one pail would mean a symbol, so you can put stuff in the pail and then move the pail around, and then that would move all the water, whatever, inside of it, the bits. So we had that conversation to try to explain what a symbol is. So, yeah, if you want to hear something else, you know, like that, where I can get even more in depth, I guess. Maybe less for you guys. Now we change the sky so now everything else is not really got a flow as well, but you know, just trying to animate this guy so it'll be somewhat more. So I can time this out a little bit, or at least just get this guy to get a little bit going. Yeah, I felt like I had like some kind of competition with like Minty Root, who was also doing animation. Of course, he was doing like Toon Boom and like Maya and like like way more complicated than me trying to explain it. It's like, yeah. So I kind of learned from that people like people just like pretty graphics and just like they don't really need to know like how it's made to like enjoy it. So that was a good lesson. I went like super like let me show you, you know, how like each pixel like operates on a code level. You know. So boop, boop. What is an evening sky? What are the gradient colors for that? Ah, yes, okay. So it's more blue and then blue top, orange bottom. Okay. Ruins the magic. Yeah, well maybe because I kind of, as a kid, I was already interested in like movies and how they were made, that it didn't really feel like really lost the magic. I kind of lost the magic like way early, that it just kind of didn't really upset me that much. Like I remember like learning about Monsters Inc. and like the 3D phases of how you make a movie. So as a kid, I kind of already was learning, already fledgling learning how that works. So I was already too far gone with that, I guess. It's hard to bring me back to, it's like, oh yeah, cartoons, they're real. Don't let anyone tell you. Well, at the same time, it's like, I want to learn how to do this. Like, I gotta know. Ironically, I was more interested in like 2D. It's because it seemed a little bit simpler, you know. Like, don't have to rely on my, you know, 10-pound laptop that would like overheat, you know, like a 10-year-old laptop that was not able to withstand my what I wanted to do. So the Flash worked, so I was like, I'm gonna use that. It's like, yeah, that seems good. Let's use that. Okay. Whoop. And then this transitions back into here. This. There we go. Forgot anything, we got a bunch of wiggly bits and the sky sort of turns different colors. I think so you can see it. Get rid of the everything but that. There we go. So there we go. There's little sky gradients, and then they change, and then they go to dark, and then back to light. So here we go. Anything else that I would do would be a little bit more time consuming than the 5 minutes or so left in this. Also, I can stretch out a little bit more. I've been stuck here for quite a while, so hope you enjoyed this little very in-depth animation process. I would say this, because we got a lot of this as not really procedural, but like modular. I can't think of another word for like it having different components. It's like making a system. Everything's on a system where I can swap things out and then change it to be having different properties. kind of a thing. So if I need to have this tree, you know, later on changed to be shake, then I can keyframe it inside of here just so I can have the multiple layers. If I need to have like 20 layers, then that make more sense to have it in this mode. Then use this special swap menu button, know what one it is, and then shake, and then set it to loop, and then it loops. So it shakes. So I don't know what kind of system you would call that, but the way that works. So that should be fairly simple now because I've set everything up to be this system that I created. But it just obviously at the same time takes a lot of like front end or like beginning planning stuff to like set up the system. It takes just as long to set up the system than the time it saves to just do it in another method. So, but it's simpler to like think about and use in that case too. So it's this weird trade-off in that end too. So, but anyway, I'm gonna think we're good here. Anything else again will be a lot more time consuming to work on, at least to get started with. So I think we'll call it here. By the time it would take to finish this, as the storyboard is now, I can see it being, it depends on how much animation we want to do. Each character like adds not really double the amount of time in some ways, but I guess it does. There's 3 characters, so that'll take, it depends on, well, it's not really if there's, you could have like 100 characters, but if you have a story with 100 characters but there's 1 character on screen the whole time, then that's, if you just had to animate it, then that's fairly simple. But if you have 100 characters in one scene, that'll take forever. And then multiply 100 times each shot, then that makes it bigger. So so with just having like 2 or 3 characters at one time, then that should be pretty quick. And how many vignettes we have with them, this should be quick. We'll have to see like how to transition between like here to here, which we figured out next time. Because we could like do like, these is cheat way will be to do the time lapse between here and then having different like speed up methods to see that like 1 frame of them being over here and then 1 frame over there and then getting into this position. So then it's not, I'm gonna get the bag on, I'm gonna walk over there, you know, with all that. So wanted to skip those weird bits and more tricky bits. Obviously nothing's here, so we can just let me see so I can see it. But transitioning from here to here, that's what I was talking about. And then they can just zoom out like in 2 frames. And then here we just kind of wiggle all the trees and then slow down to get apple bloom. She'll have some, just like a fairly simple, just like a drawing a log, however you want to throw it in, like a rotating thing, flip it around, back to shakes, and have them walk in might be good. Getting their bee stings will be probably the longest time of I don't know what will take longer. Really will be either getting the walking or putting a bunch of bee stings on her. As well as trying to, might have to have another transition from here to here, which just shakes to get to here, because this, the way that I set this sky was mid-evening, and then here it's a little bit darker, so yeah, we'll have to have some kind of shake between here and here. I see it. Ending. With her, and her, and her face. So boop, ba-doop. Okay. Transitioning here, and then they go in, and then light turns on. Bloom puts some fire out, and then sizzles, and then in the morning the smoke like stops, and then becomes morning, and they wake up. So that's about where we are. With that stuff now. Obviously, everything here is all the trees and faunas and bits have a shake mode on that can be used. So yeah, that's what I was saying. Like with the animation is half making things and half animating. So even like making things seem to be sometimes take longer. That's why some animators like they hire or like get friends to make backgrounds for them, just because the animators really don't have time to like animate, depending on how to animate, how high quality they say it is, amount of time to like create these different backgrounds. I mean, this background, we've wanted this background or like this sequence to be a whole like treasure, like 10 different forests or different backgrounds, and you can see how long this one takes. At least I'm focusing on this one to make sure that this really works, but you can imagine multiplying this by 10 forest backgrounds, and that takes a while. And obviously this is really simple, but putting a lot of details into bits. Every bit has a detail into it, so that's why you see like a lot of animators would have someone else make the backgrounds, just because it takes a long time. So that's the half of making things, or creating things to have animatable, or so as an animator, you just want to just move things around. You don't really want to also like worry about, oh no, my characters need someplace to animate in. Yeah. And depending on how complex or like the perspectives and layout is sometimes even more complicated than just drawing a character, Like just doing a rotating of a character, it's tricky, but depending on how asymmetric it is, then it's not really too complex as much as, hey, here's this 3D environment with like a whole bunch of props, and we need it in this angle as well as this angle. Draw it. It's like that's really too tough to like ask an animator to also as well do that. So, at least for me, I'll say personally that making these backgrounds is sometimes pretty fun, but it's like that kind of balance that this might be a bit overboard with how I made it, but just the way that the system is made makes things simpler in the end run rather than being up front, I guess, or just straight ahead. So, but for me, I make everything into cartoons. So I make the backgrounds and animate them, and then stories, and the only thing that I don't make is usually these sound effects. I make some sound effects, but I usually have a library and music, which I typically use Animal Crossing music, but now recently I've been using MIDI to change the instruments and tones and whatevers. But for the movie, I'm working on trying to compose original music, so the prologue might take another week or so, but I think I can probably just go to Twitch time and talk to you more about that. So, thank you for watching. Yeah. Welcome to Twitch time. Alright, here we go. How you guys doing? You usually get other people to do the background. Yeah. Because it's like a different kind of brain to like make backgrounds. Because it could be like very like left brain creative, with animating, and then it's like it's very right brain to be analytical and, or maybe it's backwards. I don't know. I'm dyslexic. that the analytical of like, here is a prop in this space, and then you have this one over here in this space. Why don't you try to figure out how, when you rotate the camera to this shot, what you should do to these 2 points and these objects? It's like, that's tricky. But just like, oh, I need to do a character and he needs to do a cartwheel? Yeah, alright, I can do that. It's like, just so weird how we work like that. Usually, yeah. Something to say. Okay. Hello. What was I gonna say? Yeah, Derpy's best. Something about some movie. Yeah, I'm trying to make original compositions, which might make the turn. It might make it longer to get the videos out. Just because I'm so inexperienced with it that I've had to take like several crash courses of like, here's what music theory is. You know, I have to do like a whole bunch of those music YouTube videos of like, here is a note. Wow. Here is another note. It's an octave. Octave. Different. Wow. You know, it's like, okay, great, but your video is called How to Make an Original Melody. It's like, you spent over half the time, you know, doing that kind of stuff. And it's like, then it gets to it, and it's like, oh, you can do a melody, very simple. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you for watching. It's like, ow, man. When I get commissioned, I have a very specific way of, or vision, music vision of how I want it to sound. And I'm usually like too hands-on anyway, that if I get someone else and I'll feel like, oh, you didn't get it 100% of what I wanted, you know. So, earlier, like, I tried like 2 years ago, I always started with the idea that I wanted to have original music. So I would ask my friends and family, at least my family, like, hey, do you guys want to like compose music? You know, I did a little showing of the storyboard or the animatic for the full thing, and they were like, no, I don't want to do that. So didn't really ask any friends just because I didn't, like, we're not really too mutual in that way. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just like too very specific about like what I want. That if like one note is a sharp and it's like, oh, it should be a flat, it's like, that's wrong. So I feel like it'd just be easier to just, it's a skill that I've wanted to learn, and I just felt like this is a nice opportunity to do it. And I've had some successes, some fun of it. If we ever do another music or movie, if we do a movie progress, I'll show you some of my sheet music. A lot of it is still very, I made a melody, but it's not quite made into a song, you know? So, right now I'm just trying to come up with different motifs, or like trying to figure out like what kind of instruments, and basically just starting from scratch of like what I wanted. So, so even if I finish, I'm not quite done with the animation of the prologue for the movie. So, once I kind of get closer to that, and you know, at least the, maybe, who's the other guy? I get Johnny Elfman, or what's his name? Mr. Elton John. I'll get him. He seems cool. But yeah, once I get the animation, Danny Elfman. Once I get the animation done with at least prologue, there's like 5 more characters out to animate in like this one shot, so that's why it takes so long. Let's get that going. As well as just general cleanup to make sure it's all good. I found some other little bits, like with Derpy's tail in some shots. It's like, that's not quite physics, kind of a thing. So, so general cleanup as well. And then I'm using the motifs, or like the little melodies that I've made then I can like, I feel like I want to like use those to string together um, the different parts, I guess, or like use the animation as like the front, and then kind of like, what does it feel like? Very like Tom and Jerry, where it's like if like Tom like swings his hammer down on nothing, then like you gotta have like, I want to have like a strings or some kind of sting to go woo, to go along with that. So like every action or so will have like a musical accompaniment to feel kind of classic, kind of like Tom and Jerry and all those cartoons were Looney Tunes, where it's like classic 40s cartoons where every action is accompanied by some musical sort of a thing. So so I want to do something like that. That's I don't know how ambitious that is for especially such a long project, or a long timeline for the project. So yeah, so that's why it's like I need it to be very controlled of what I want. But as I go through it as well, it's just like I might, on the animation side, start changing things. So if I hand someone like a blank music sheet and then say like hit these points specifically, and then I go back to the animation and say like maybe this could be like 3 frames later, then that might mess up a lot of the music, because they might be, like a hammer swings and then like a fraction later after that you hear whoa, kind of a sound effect with the music. So it needs to be very coordinated to be able to do that. So if I was in control of both parties of music and visuals, then I would know immediately how to change things like that. Also, that won't like box me in as well, where if I give them the video, then I won't feel like that's the final video. That I have that leisure to be able to modify the video, at least by not more than like a few frames, hopefully. But yeah, that's about where I want to go with that. So, I never really to explain it too much, or like that's on my head to know if that's too ambitious. Obviously it is, because I'm extreme novice of how this works, but new music that I've made feels, or at least sounds, that's better, sounds pretty decent. I remember like in, like elementary school, we had like GarageBand as a weird like computer class program. And it's like, hey, teach yourself, just make some melodies in GarageBand, like the Apple music maker synthesizer thing. Yeah. And I just remember back then, is like the music that I've made in that had no rhythm, and it's just like do. I can't even do it, But it's like the rhythm and everything was totally off, and it's just like I want it to sound good, My parents are both very, at least they play music, so it's like I'm the only one that's like has an aspiration to play music, but I feel like I just don't have the dexterity to do it. So the least I can do is just try to make music or like compose it. So if I can do that, then I'll be happy with that. So it's really fun to be able to do that too. Make little melodies, and using the YouTube videos of like, here's how to make a melody kind of a thing of start simple, do some do some steps, and then do some leaps, pauses, and all that. So, yeah, but the music software that I'm using is MuseScore 3. I think they updated it. I don't know how recently, but I've been using MuseScore 2, and it's just like, yeah, it seems really slow and clunky. So now MuseScore 3 seems really good. So I'll be using that for probably the majority of composing. So at least getting comfortable with using that, and then composing longer. So music, I don't know what to call it. Longer songs that are all hopefully I know like how music in cartoons is very important, at least with these silent videos that I'm doing. I feel like is very important. So like I've always been, years ago, like very picky. I've always been picky with my videos, what kind of music to use. That I might choose different music just because I didn't like, how one instrument came in at the end or something, like the end of it. So I go into like Audition, which was like an Adobe audio editor, and I might just go in and start just messing around with it. And so I kind of mostly just like learn how to learn about music in that way. And I was able to like dissect music, and try to find out how it works. So haven't made long music yet, so I've just been making very, very short, like do kind of that long, a little bit longer, but like trying to figure out how to make things sound richer, with like using more instruments. Is basically how that works. Where it just said like, oh, I need a melody. It's like, oh, let me use 2 clarinets. That sounds cool, kind of a thing. But yeah, and by using like made music in my videos, if I like I know how to like edit it too, with the Premiere side as well, so I can like figure out how to fade in and out, or probably won't, because the recent ones I've been doing like a weird trick of like using multiple variations of the same song. So I would have like one recording of a song that I didn't make or didn't compose, but I would use like certain instruments, and then I would re-record the same song with different instruments, or maybe like one, or maybe just like one extra instrument, and then I would edit it in Premiere so that when it'll like start off and then something gets introduced, like a new character, and then I would add in the second track. So basically it's just adding an instrument into the song. So if I was able to just compose it myself, then I would be able to pinpoint and say like, oh, at 7 seconds, add in harp or whatever. That would be easier in some ways with that. So, but if I need to, I could use that method of using 2 different versions and then adding it in, maybe. If I needed to be more, if I can slide it around, I guess, in time. But yeah, so I feel like I'm not as much of a novice as I thought as I was coming into like composing, but it's still, yeah, execution of like writing whole songs out, it's still a little daunting. But if I have like the visuals to work off, then I feel like that'll be useful. And trying to, I'll be able to figure out like pinpoint of like probably just make a blank sheet and then say like, oh, in 7 seconds have a hammer down and then pinpoint that out and then add some strings and then go wow, and then work in between those, I guess. So that might be a method. But yeah, I think that's about it. What I'm gonna talk about with that. So anything else? How you guys doing? Yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna go rest and probably have some dinner. Ow. Get my arms back in shape. So that was a pretty good arm exercise doing all this. So I think that's about it. Thank you guys for watching again. Hope you guys had fun, and that I always this is like the Yoshi Ramble show. Where you come in and it's just like, I'm gonna talk about one or two things for an hour and a half. So, glad you guys can get something out of this. There's a lot of different aspects, I suppose. But yeah, I'm excited to work on the movie more. I don't know when the prologue will come out. I'm just calling that because it's like the first 40 seconds. You know, like I have a credit drop and then a cut right before, like they go on a train. Right before Derpy goes on a train, then that'll be chapter 1. So, I don't know when it'll be uploaded, just because, as I've said, like I'm not sure about the music aspect of it. As I'm not sure how to have a method that I'm thinking might work, but if it doesn't work, then I'll have to start from scratch and figure out how to do that. But yeah, that'll be for another time. So, but for next week, we'll see if we can animate the characters and the rest of the environment in the Rarity Sweetie Ball tent short thing. So, okay. Yep. Thanks guys for watching, and then on Thursday we'll reconvene again. Thank you. Bye-bye.